but I was really drawn by the front page of the Hello magazine this week, or this month, this week, and they've reported, they've quoted a friend of Harry's, and this is something that I do believe the story to be accurate. They've quoted a friend of Harry's saying,
"All right, royal watchers, buckle up, because Prince Harry has just reignited the royal family feud, and this time he's taking direct aim at his own father, King Charles." Yep, you heard me right. In his latest interviews and bombshell memoir, Harry's making it crystal clear he feels like King Charles failed him, not just as a monarch, but as a dad. This isn't about palace politics or tabloid drama. This is raw, personal, and it cuts deep. So, what exactly did Harry say?
"The goal for Prince Harry is simple. He wants to ensure the safety of himself and his family while in the UK so his children can know his home country and so he can help support his patronages and their important work." Who do you think this message is sent to? You know, who do you think they're saying this to? Is it to us, the media? Is it to the British public? Is it to the authorities or the courts in the UK or the royal family themselves?
Well, I think it's a combination probably of the British public and King Charles, his father. The King has only met Princess Lilibet once during the late Queen's Platinum Jubilee. And there are reports, which haven't been confirmed or verified, that suggest that Prince Harry is essentially trying to lobby his father to intervene in his court case he's got going against the Home Office. But of course, the King is not going to do that because he cannot be seen to be involved in any court cases in the United Kingdom. So in April this year, we're expecting Prince Harry's appeal to be heard. The Home Office downgraded his security in 2020 when he stood back as a member of the royal family, and he lost that case, but he's appealing. And what he told ITV last year was that he will not bring Meghan or his two children to the UK because he feels he can't keep them safe without the level he used to have, police protection he used to have.
Well, according to him, the pain started long before Meghan Markle ever entered the picture. Harry claims Charles was emotionally distant, more focused on royal duties and public image than actually being a present father. One of Harry's most unforgettable lines, he handed down the pain, "He didn't break the cycle." Ouch! That's not just a dig, that's a direct accusation, but it doesn't stop there.
That's the other interesting part of it. He really drew the line in the sand with that. So if the case doesn't go the way he wants it to, he's made it clear. He said, I won't bring them back here. So, in terms of that article, where does he go from there if it doesn't go how he wants?
Now, Cameron, we were both in Poland this week. We went to the 80th anniversary commemorations of the Holocaust, of the liberation of Auschwitz camp.
Yeah.
We were there at the camp with the King and many other world leaders. It was a real tough day for us attending it and watching all the commemorations and hearing those stories from survivors of the Holocaust. But it felt, for me, like that it was an important day for King Charles to attend. What were your thoughts from covering it?
Yeah, I think it was. It was really poignant. And the week before at a Buckingham Palace reception, the King said he felt it was incredibly important for him to be there. He's the first British head of state ever to visit Auschwitz-Birkenau. And I think he was visibly emotional, particularly at the death wall where he laid a wreath where the SS shot dead thousands of prisoners. And he took a moment to look at the wall. He then turned around to walk away, but then he turned back. And it was when he turned back that he looked quite upset. And he was, of course, in Krakow earlier in the day at the Jewish Community Centre, a place which he kind of inspired its creation, because he visited Krakow in 2002, where the Jewish population was still wiped out from the Nazi regime in the 40s, and then came back in 2008 to open it, and now again on the 80th anniversary of the liberation.
Because he was quite shocked, wasn't he? We often say, when we report on the royals, they're visibly moved. But he did appear visibly moved. I remember he did, when he almost like wiped a tear away when he was hearing these horrific stories from survivors. But also he was visibly moved by, I think there were some children's shoes. I think they were in the cabinets, and he was shown the things that had been taken from the Jewish people that had been, taken into this camp and exterminated. The world leaders that did attend, that they weren't invited to make speeches. It was all about the Holocaust survivors and their stories, and rightly so. But he did manage to, you mentioned about the JCC event earlier, he did manage to make a speech there, and he warned of the depths humanity can sink when evil is allowed to flourish and the dangerous re-emergence of anti-Semitism. These are powerful messages from our King.
In Spare, Harry paints a pretty heartbreaking picture. He says that after Princess Diana died, Charles refused to hug him. Let that sink in. Your youngest son grieving his mother, and you keep your distance. Harry even claims Charles would sometimes joke about not being his real dad. I mean, can you imagine hearing that from your own father?
To say it was such a powerful speech. I was so moved listening to it all, and you could tell that it was something that he felt was very important to share. So I'm glad that he did find an opportunity to share it on that day. As you say, as world leaders weren't speaking at Auschwitz that evening.
While we were in Poland, I don't know if you remember, we got a message from Kensington Palace earlier in that morning saying that actually the Princess of Wales would be joining Prince William at a ceremony in London, back in Guildhall. And although Auschwitz was a tough visit, it was a tough thing to go to and hear all the stories, this was a little bit more lighter. It was a little bit more positive, wasn't it? I think we had a lot of hugs from the Princess of Wales with old friends. I think she'd met some of them before.
Yeah, she had. It was. Sorry, you go.
I was just going to say, it kind of fit what we knew about Catherine's year, which is that she's going to sort of pick the engagements she takes part in. And this did come through quite last minute. And then having seen that footage of her having this reunion with the two people that she'd photographed a few years earlier, you could tell that was something that was extremely important to her. And then that made a lot of sense as to why she wanted to be there on the day. And it was such an intimate reception, and seeing her share smiles and hugs with them. And they seemed so pleased to see her again. And I think one of them spoke of how she'd even written a Christmas card to them. So obviously they're staying in touch as well. So yeah, it was a lovely thing to see her taking part in that.
Yeah, and the princess said it was like greeting an old friend, photographing them for the 75th anniversary of the end of Auschwitz being liberated. And it was full circle, really, I think, for the princess meeting them again.
And when royal life became unbearable, Harry says his cries for help were ignored. So, how did King Charles respond? Well, he didn't. Not publicly, anyway.
Finally, we have our quickfire question. We mentioned earlier about Sussexes living back in the UK. Where should the Sussexes live if they move back to the UK?
I reckon they'd go to the Cotswolds. Like Ellen DeGeneres just moved there with Portia de Rossi, and that's kind of was their Montecito set. So I feel like that's the little celebrity enclave with the biggest states, right?
Yeah, I feel like I don't think they will. I think they will stay in the US. But if they did move back to the UK, I think they would have to live within a perimeter of a royal palace. I think it would have to be within the Windsor perimeter or whatever, just to be cost effective for them and the British taxpayer, because they'd want security.
But I was operating under the assumption that they would be on the current terms that they're on, which is very unlikely that they would be invited to live back in there. Although Frogmore Cottage is still empty, isn't it?
It is still empty as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
There you go, an option.
Okay. Which royal would you most like to give a hug, and who would you most like to receive a hug from?
I'd like to hug the Princess of Wales just to say, it's okay, you've got through it. I'm so sorry for the horrible abuse over the last year that you've received from people online.
She probably would. She's giving a lot of hugs these days.
Yeah,
so, I think she'd like it.
She is. And I'd never really thought about who I would like to receive a hug from, but I suppose Diana, Princess of Wales, would be the obvious choice. I think she'd be quite comforting.
You say that, but yes. But in terms of the obvious choice, I still can't get past the King's big hug with the New Zealand rugby players. Yeah, I want to be part of that. That looked really fun. So I'm going to say the King. But I agree with giving the Princess of Wales a hug.
Okay. If you could invite 4 members of the royal family, alive or dead, to a dinner party, who would you invite and why, if possible?
So I would like to invite Princess Margaret because I think she would be great at a party and would really liven up the atmosphere. Prince William has a lot of banter, so I think he'd be quite good at the dinner table as well. I think somebody like Lady Louise or somebody like that who's the younger generation of the royal family who perhaps could add something to it. And Queen Elizabeth II, I think, as well. I just think it would have been amazing to be in her presence.
She'll keep everyone in under control.
Absolutely.
And have banter with her sister.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say the late Queen, because she was such an enigma. I would love to have her there just share a drink and have a chat, find out what she's like. The Tyndalls always seem like they're having the best time. They actually go to these races in Australia every year and they just look so fun. And then the Waleses. I'd love to sit down for dinner with the Prince and Princess of Wales.
That's 5 people, Bronte.
I think Cam had 6, to be fair.
Did you have 6?
Did I? I thought Louise... Margaret.
Queen.
Yeah.
William.
Yeah, Queen, Louise, Margaret, William, 4.
Oh.
Royal insiders say Charles was devastated by Harry's words, but he's sticking to what the palace calls a dignified silence. Is that quiet strength, or is it a sign of guilt? That's the million-pound question. Now here's where it gets real. We're looking at a father and son more divided than ever. Harry believes he was abandoned. Charles feels deeply betrayed. Can they ever patch things up? Or is this royal rift only going to get worse? And I want to know what you think. Is Harry's pain justified, or has he taken it too far? Hit the comments and let's get the conversation started. If you're as fascinated by the truth behind the crown as I am, smash that like button and make sure you hit subscribe. I'm here every week cutting through the palace PR to bring you what's really going on behind those gilded gates. This story is far from over, and trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. Thanks for watching, Royal Watchers. Until next time, keep your eyes on the throne.